So Israel Adesanya just lost to Joe Bodybags Pyfer at UFC Seattle by round two KO. And I just want to talk because I saw this fight. I watched this fight, believe it or not. Um, and I just am left with one question. What is wrong with Israel Adesanya? He looks so good in all of these fights. Like, he hasn't won a fight since 2023 when he KO'd Alex Pereira. He's like, what, 1-5 now since 2023 or something like that. I don't know. But it's crazy because in all of these fights that he's lost, Drickus, Joe Pyfer, Imavov, Strickland, and I'm sure someone else in there that I can't remember. In all of these fights, he looks good because like I can't sit here and say that he looks washed or he looks any different than he did 3 years ago. Maybe he slowed down like a touch, but he doesn't look terrible. He doesn't look like a guy that should lose to Big Joe Pyfer in 2026. He doesn't look unk status. Like he looks good. He looked good against the Mavov, and he gets caught. That's whatever. He looked good against Drickus. He looked, maybe for the exception of the Strickland fight, he did have his moments in the Strickland fight. A lot of people will say he got dominated, and he did. Like in a way, he did get dominated, but it wasn't like a pure domination. He had moments in that fight. He wasn't completely outclassed. He had his moments. He won rounds. He beat Alex Pereira. He was beating Alex Pereira in the first fight. So it's not like he's ever looked inherently bad in any of these losses. What it comes down to is, more specifically in this fight, is what killed me just watching this. And I'm not even the biggest Adesanya fan. I don't necessarily care whether he wins or loses. But, man, he was having his way with Joe Pyfer. He was having so much success doing what you would think Adesanya would do. Fighting at range, very kick heavy, leg kicks were having a lot of success. I was loving the body kicks. He even in round one he had a step in knee that landed to the chin of Joe Pyfer. I don't know the last time I've ever seen Adesanya land a step in knee to someone's head before. He was having his way with Joe Pyfer, but Adesanya just does this thing where he just like abandons all fight IQ when he leaves the first round. Like, he's having all of the success. Joe Pyfer's in the top 5, by the way. Just like, what are we doing? He's gonna get obliterated in his next fight, no matter who he fights. I don't want to sound like a hater, but Joe Pyfer is not a top 5 middleweight on the planet. He's just not. He's gonna get smoked by whoever he fights next. I hope he succeeds. I have nothing against him. It's just how I see it. I don't think he's a top 5 middleweight. But Adesanya has all of this success in round one, and then in round two, he's like, this is boring. Maybe Adesanya is actually boring himself with his own fight style after boring everyone all of these years by point fighting in range. Maybe it's finally getting to him, and now he's like, man, that 5 minutes of point fight kickboxing was really boring. Now I'm just going to stand in boxing range with Joe Pyfer. The only thing he excels in is his boxing. And he can grapple too a little bit. Obviously, he took him down, and that's how he got the TKO. But you know what I mean. Joe Pyfer's only chance on the feet is in boxing range, and Adesanya just decides, yeah, I'm just going to stand here and get into a war with Joe Pyfer, who literally just swings overhands and hooks in boxing range. That's all he can do. You're giving him a path to victory. It just blows my mind. Like, I couldn't believe it. As soon as they started like exchanging and Adesanya was staying in the pocket more and trying to like trade with Joe Pyfer, I was like, he's gonna get KO'd. He's about to get KO'd stiff. And then there's the moment in round two where he's like up against the fence and Pyfer's swinging away. I'm like, oh, this is it. He's getting KO'd right here, but he managed to slip out, and I mean, he ended up getting KO'd anyway. But I don't understand Why? Why did he do that? It's not like even Joe Pyfer even like initiated like any of the boxing. Adesanya just willingly, after, by the way, he hit Joe Pyfer with another leg kick, and then like an eye poke that didn't really look like an eye poke, but there's a break. Joe Pyfer's literally like barely walking on his leg, like he's limping visibly, like he's hurt to the leg. He's having all of the success, and then he just abandons it and just starts boxing and trading with Joe Pyfer. It's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Adesanya's downfall comes from not him being washed. It comes from his fight IQ just abandoning him in the middle of his fights. I don't understand what is going through his head. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm at a loss of words. Congrats to Joe Pyfer. I guess it is good to have, a fresh face, a new name at the top of middleweight. But man, it just sounds like I'm hating, but I just don't think Joe Pyfer is like an actual top 5 middleweight in the world. I could see him like before this fight. I did think Adesanya was going to win, and I was feeling really good about that in round 1. But before this fight, I was thinking like Joe Pyfer's one of those guys that like he might break into the top 10 in his career, but he'll never be more than that. He's in the top 5. He could be one fight away from a title fight, which is insane. I don't think he'll get it, but he's in that position. And now you have to look at Adesanya. What do you do with him? Because he did not retire. I was thinking he's got to retire. He's got to hang it up. There's nothing left in the UFC for Adesanya to do. He's going to fight someone outside of the rankings. This loss to Joe Pyfer severely hurts his legacy. This was a huge hit to his legacy. Not only is he on this giant losing streak, but losing to a guy like Joe Pyfer is so detrimental to his legacy. And now he's going to go and fight someone outside the rankings probably. I just don't see the point in that. What does this do for you? Like, I respect it. I respect that he's like, oh, I'm never going away. You can beat me, but I'm still undefeated in my mind, or whatever he said in the post-fight interview. I was kind of zoned out. But what does, even if he fights someone outside the rankings and wins, like who's outside? Maybe, I don't even know. Who are they going to give him? Gregory Rodriguez? Like, what is that? What is a win over like a guy like Gregory Rodriguez, or who I can't even think of a middleweight outside the rankings. What does a win over an unranked middleweight even do for you? If you're Adesanya, what does that do for your legacy? You're this champion, long reigning champion, one of the best middleweights of all time, if not the best middleweight of all time. What does a win over Bruno Ferreira do to your legacy? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't add any value. So, like, what is the point? The risk to reward for Adesanya taking a fight outside the rankings is, like, so imbalanced. Like, very little reward, very high risk. Because if now you're talking about him fighting outside of the rankings, risking another loss to a guy that's even worse than Joe Pyfer, and now your legacy's in the mud. I really think Adesanya, what I think it is, I don't think his ego will let him retire on a loss like that. Especially like a KO loss like that. If it was a close decision, maybe Adesanya would retire. But I think he's one of those guys that's not going to retire on a loss. He's going to keep doing, like he's going to try to go down the Tony Ferguson route where he goes on a huge losing streak, just trying to get that one win to retire from. But it's crazy because he can do it. He's not washed like Tony was. Like, he's not that bad because his skill set is there. But it's like, do you even want to risk it? What is the point? What is the point? I mean, I get wanting a good retirement, going out, sailing out into the sunset or whatever, riding off into the sunset off of a win is much better than retiring on a loss to Joe Pyfer. But I just don't see the point in risking your legacy for a fight against Roman Kopylov or whatever. Like, what does this do for you? I don't know. It's just bizarre because he doesn't look bad, but he keeps losing. It kind of sucks to see because, I mean, he was a great champion, is super active. As boring as some of his fights were, I got a lot of respect for him, but it's just tough. What do you do? What do you do if you're Adesanya? I don't know. It's hard to say. Such a sad downfall or a great downfall if you're a hater, whatever it may be. But I don't know. I can't understand what Adesanya thinks in his fights. Like, his fight IQ just abandons him. It's really, really sad because he was one of those, like, super technical, he's got such a high fight IQ during his prime, but now it's like, why is he doing this with Joe Pyfer? Why is he just standing in boxing range? Why is he willingly exchanging and giving Joe Pyfer a chance on the feet? I don't know. It just blows my mind.